Hey, what's up, guys? Jeff Orig with Orig Media, and this is section 2 of our little DSLR filmmaking school. Pre-production. So pre-production, this is just like an overview and not a very comprehensive course on pre-production, but I thought it was valuable to kind of go over the different steps in pre-production, because I think if you haven't gone to film school, you might be skipping some steps or just kind of not really aware of some of the steps that larger productions might be taking. And I think on every level we're still doing these steps, but it's nice to have that clarification. So I want to emphasize again just the teamwork aspect of filmmaking. You can do things by yourself, but it's not as fun, I think, and it's a lot more work. So please find and make friends or get involved with the community of filmmakers and videographers in your area. And one way you can do that is just to reach out to other people and volunteer and say, hey, can I help you on your next shoot? And then eventually you can build it up into paying gigs. But so I think one of the first steps in pre-production that you may or may not be doing in your current productions is writing a good story, writing a good screenplay or script. And like I said, this is not comprehensive, but there are resources out there that I think are valuable for writers. And I think one for sure that I like is johnaugust.com and his podcast with fellow screenwriter Craig Mazin. Their podcast is called Script Notes, so you can check it out on iTunes, or you can go to johnaugust.com and listen to that podcast and listen to the archives. And he's got tons of resources, and he's teaching all kinds of things about screenwriting. So please check that out. And I think probably the number one thing that I've learned about writing and improving your writing is to actually write. The more you write, the more practice that you get, the better you can get. Now, there is some schools of thought that maybe that may not be your bag, and you're better off working with someone that is a writer and they're good at it. So also check that out. Maybe that's an area of collaboration for you. The next step, or at least one other step that you can take in your pre-production, is have a read-through. So you have a script, gather some actors together, could be your cast, and read through the script, which, I didn't put it on this line, but read-throughs and rehearsals, I think, are kind of abbreviated in filmmaking. I think actors and directors and writers can benefit greatly from well thought out and a lot of rehearsal and a lot of read-throughs. So that's to your taste, but for our productions, I'm trying to implement more read-throughs and more rehearsals just so that we can find different takes on it and different approaches and get it all planned out in pre-production as opposed to spending time working on the story during production. In pre-production, you're also going to want to set up your budget, get your financing put together, and do any kind of fundraising. I can post some links to different budgets, but you can do a search on Google too and look for film budgets, and you can get a spreadsheet and just fill it in and know where you want to spend the money. And if you're able to spend money on gear rental or on crew or props and costumes and locations, food's super important. You want to be able to feed your people. Oftentimes a film will be rated by the crew on how good the food was, so definitely feed your people. I think one thing, maybe if you're just getting into filmmaking and DSLR filmmaking and videography, you may not be aware of SAG, which is the Screen Actors Guild, and that's the union for the actors. So if you're working with high quality actors, they may be in the union, and you want to make it as easy as possible for the best and most talented people to work with you. And for SAG actors, you're going to need to fill out the SAG paperwork. And you can go to their website, I believe it's sagaftra.com, and we'll have a link that you can click on and sign up. And what you're looking for is the producer's signatory, and you want to become a signatory and fill out the correct information so that you're compliant with their rules, and then that the actors are compliant with the union rules as well, and then everybody will be happy. Now, if you're doing short films or projects that are meant for the web, like a web series or something like that, there's ways to do it very low budget, where you don't have to pay the actors or can be deferred at a later date. So please get used to filling out that paperwork, and it'll make for a much more professional production, and you can get some really wonderful and talented people on your production. Casting. So you want to hold a casting call, and what we do is we post an ad in Craigslist. There's also a local actors forum here, as well as we will reach out to the different casting agencies locally, and to the different theaters and all the other improv groups and just the community, and just let them know that we have a project coming up and we're looking to cast. So you can hold a casting and you can hold an audition. When you do that, I highly recommend going to a space where you can have the room for maybe a few hours, and having at least one person helping you, if not more. If you can have two people, I think that's going to be better. How I like to run an audition is I'll be in the audition and I'll have at least one person working a camera for me, recording the actor performing, and then if they need to read with someone, then I'll have another person read along with them. And if you can have someone else outside of the room sort of managing people as they come to the audition, just kind of letting them know what's happening and what forms they may need to fill out, or if you're going to hand them excerpts from the script or what are called sides or what have you. So please try and set that up properly, and I think as I'm talking through it, we'll create a separate video just on casting alone. As I mentioned before, rehearsals. I think rehearsals are often overlooked in filmmaking, but I believe it can be a very powerful tool. So set up rehearsals, set up a good schedule that people can attend, and don't flake out on your schedule. That's one of the worst things that you can possibly do. So set the schedule, stick to it, and be professional, show up on time, and be good to your people. Also in pre-production, you may or may not be doing this, but my best productions have been when I've storyboarded and or created a shot list or done any kind of pre-visualization or video storyboards so previs, you can, if you have any kind of animation skills, or in Final Cut 10, you can they have like these templates that you can use that can help you do some pre-visualization. Or video storyboards, you can take your camera, go to the locations with either the actors or stand-ins, and kind of really rough out the blocking of the shoot. So you can kind of put the camera where you want it, have the actors move in and out of the frame as you need them, and get your shots before you actually do the shoot, set up the lights, set up the audio, and so forth, just so you can get a feel right away on what's going to work, what's not going to work, and then you can go back and look and say, okay, on the day of the shoot, when we get all the costumes and props and crew all together, you'll know exactly what you're going to do and or how you're going to improve everything. So definitely storyboard, shot list, previs, and or video storyboards. Another thing in pre-production you're going to want to do, or you may want to do some test shots. So if you, let's say for example, you're going to shoot with the Canon 5D Mark III and you want to shoot in RAW using the Magic Lantern hack, then you may want to experiment doing that before the day of the shoot, and hopefully you become an expert in that before you on the day of the shoot. Or if there's a certain look and feel that you're trying to achieve, definitely do some testing ahead of time, so that way when you get there on the day of shooting, you know exactly what to do and you're not going to run into any kind of pitfalls. In pre-production, you're going to set up the scheduling of the shoot, the locations, and the crew. So just do your best in I guess, trying to accommodate everybody's schedule, including the actors, especially the actors. But scheduling is super important, and I think the more you do it, or you collaborate with someone that's excellent at scheduling, then the better it's going to be. And in pre-production, you're going to want to either build sets or get your set design put together, or at least start thinking about your set design and your props, gathering props, making props. So I think my general sense is that when you're first learning about filmmaking and videography and DSLR filmmaking in particular, what a lot of people are focusing on, and what I'm seeing on a lot of on YouTube, is that you're focused so much on the gear and you're kind of not thinking about all these other things. I think the gear is, while it's like a lot of fun to play with the gear and it's fun to collect the gear, it really is not the most important piece of it all. It's important, but not the most important, right? Like the story and the performance and the style are you can achieve with all kinds of different tools, and these are just merely tools. So, but maybe you're just starting out and you're trying to figure out what gear you can buy or own, and then maybe you need to figure out what gear you can borrow or rent. And so definitely in any production, you're going to be planning and budgeting your gear and how the gear is going to be used. So the more you sort of think about these things and the more you check them off your checklist, the better off you're going to be. So planning and budgeting your gear, it's super fun and I think kind of addictive to be collecting and looking at gear. But I want to emphasize that's only a small part of the equation, and get some of this stuff done so that you have a better time and you can create a better film if you get some of this other pre-production stuff out of the way. And also, when you're planning and budgeting your gear, you're going to have to keep in mind that you're going to need more than just the camera. You're going to want to get maybe a variety of lenses if you can afford it, and then you're going to want to get tripod, maybe a slider. You're going to need microphones, a recorder for the audio, and a computer to edit the stuff on. You're going to need SD cards or CF cards. You're going to need hard drives. So there's a lot of things other than just the camera that you're going to need. So kind of keep that in mind. So that's it for the pre-production. Like I said, it's not a comprehensive course on pre-production. Each one of those sections you can study for years to become a master at, but this is just kind of a taste into it. I hope you found it useful. What we're going to do is we're going to create a checklist that you guys can download, and we'll have instructions in the description, or you can just go to our website, origmedia.com, and find out how you can get that. It'll be free. So please stay in touch, and I want to know how your projects are going, how we might be able to collaborate, and I think that's it. Aloha, and I'll see you guys later. I'm Jeff Orig. Check us out at www.origmedia.com, and I'm on Twitter at origmedia. Thanks.